It's now time to hear from our second candidate. Please welcome PGA owner and general manager of Hidden Hills Country Club, candidate for secretary from the North Florida section, Russ Libby.
Thanks, Dan. Good afternoon, everybody. It's great to see you. It's really my pleasure to be here with you, and I want to thank the Connecticut PGA for hosting this very special meeting and a very special year here celebrating our centennial. It's been really exciting for me. I'm a big history buff, as you may know, and I can just assure you that it's a treat for me to be here in Hartford, and I thank you for the opportunity. You probably know this too. I was born in Maine, just a few hours up the road, and I've always enjoyed the history and the traditions of the Northeast and their impact on the game and the PGA of America. I thought back last week when I was thinking about what I was going to say to you. When I was at Ipswich Country Club, I was a head golf professional there in 1993, and we hosted the Francis Ouimet Society fundraiser at the club. And at that time, this was back in 93, so I learned a lot about who Francis Ouimet was and his impact on New England and that stunning victory that he had at the U.S. Open that summer at Brookline. But what I didn't know at the time was that Ouimet was actually in the room at the Taplow Club, which was really up on the upper floor of the Wanamaker store. And Mr. Wanamaker invited those people for that initial meeting there in New York City to discuss the founding of the PGA of America, and he was there. And of course, a lot of great leaders have come from the Northeast. Robert White, the first president of our association representing the Met section. Our first PGA champion, Jim Barnes. Our championship was in New York that year in 1916, and he represented White Marsh Valley Country Club that year. And of course, the rest is history. So truly, the PGA of America in the game has been heavily influenced by the Northeast and the leaders that have resided in your sections. So you should be very proud of that, and I'm sure you are. And that influence over these first 100 years has been tremendous. So again, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here with me and joining me as we prepare for the next great PGA century. The last Northeast Super Regional, 2014, was the last time I ran, and I think we were in Newark at that time. And I met many of you for the very first time, and I'm really proud and pleased to say that we've developed some lifelong friendships. I've learned a lot about each and every one of you, your sections, your strengths, and also some of the challenges that you and your members face on a daily basis. And I think you know me pretty well by now that I ask a lot of questions. Outreach is important to me. And I appreciate your candor. And I want to be clear that I've listened to your answers very, very carefully. You know, and there's no doubt about it. The answers that you've given me and leaders across the country have shared with me that we still have quite a few challenges out there. And these challenges are what I want to address as your next PGA secretary. Section leaders from all over the country have shared that despite these new ADP funds, they are still taxed, and they still don't have the necessary support to serve their members adequately and to grow the game. A game that I think has unfairly taken it on the chin here in the last decade. A large population of our PGA professionals are feeling detached from the PGA of America. They're disenchanted about their current jobs, their wages, and they're unsure about how to maneuver around obstacles that they feel are hindering their ability to move ahead. Some serious things that we need to address. So today I intend to share my vision about how we all can navigate through these headwinds and propel the PGA of America in the game forward into this next century. The one thing I've been doing since I started my campaign is reaching out, not just to people that are delegates or section leaders, but I've been reaching out to rank and file PGA members, men and women on the front lines around the country. And the stories that I've been hearing are pretty powerful, and I wanted to share a couple with you today. And the first is about Josh Olney. He's the general manager and head golf professional up at Orleans Country Club in Vermont. He lives in Waterbury, Vermont, about an hour away from his club, so he drives an hour up and an hour back each day. He was at the club, Country Club of Vermont, I should say, and he was let go after 10 years. His job was eliminated. And so he's been at Orleans now ever since. His wife is an executive director for a nonprofit for learning disabled kids, and it's also a daycare center. So as you can see, between the both of them working full-time, it's very challenging the summer months. And they've got to lean heavily on the grandparents, put the kids in summer camps, find activities for them to keep busy. It's a challenge. Josh has no other PGA professionals at his facility. The budget won't permit that. He owns a shop, he manages a restaurant, and really does a tremendous job. All of his staff are seasonal, so you can just imagine most of them are not out of college yet. I know many of you had a very busy week last week, so just imagine what Josh, I know you can because many of you lived it and breathed it. Josh loves the game, he loves the PGA of America, and despite all that's been on his plate, he still found time to lead his chapter. He fulfilled all the chairs of the Vermont chapter of the New England PGA in his free time. Pretty powerful story, and really a lot of empathy on my part for this young man and his family, just trying to make ends meet. I also spoke with another PGA professional, Mark Tucker. Many of you know him. Tim, I think you played junior golf with him, did you not? Great player, one of the best players in the Northeast. Matter of fact, last year in the Central New York PGA, he was Player of the Year and Senior Player of the Year, and qualified for the professional championship this summer at Turning Stone. Mark and his wife, they have 4 kids, ages ranging from 19 to 4. He did confide that the 4-year-old was an accident, a surprise. He's well loved by his members at the club, and he's extremely admired. I spoke with Steve about it and Tim about him. Very much admired by his fellow PGA professionals in Central New York. And he's passionate about his game. He's passionate about his club. He's passionate about his PGA. Frankly, it took me a while to get a hold of him because he's been so busy. He's been pulling golf carts, starting play, answering the phone, and ringing the cash register. That's the good news. You know, he's really, as I said, passionate about what he does. And despite having a difficult situation, a challenging situation at his club, he never once complained. So I asked both Josh and Mark about what I could do to help them. What could the PGA do to help them? And I guess you won't be surprised to hear this, but their answers had nothing to do with themselves. Their answers to me had all to do about what they thought the PGA of America could do for their fellow PGA members in Central New York and New England. That's the way we are, isn't it? What also struck me is when we started speaking about the PGA, it was clear to me that the PGA of America to them was their chapter and their sections. That was their bond, that was their connection with the PGA of America, local. They answered my questions, and again, not one time did they complain. They were thinking of others. Josh and Mark, and I've heard this story many, many times, they're just 2 of thousands of PGA members out there working hard, trying to make ends meet, serving their club, their customers, trying to make a difference in taking care of their families under difficult, sometimes challenging, sometimes difficult circumstances. They never once complained. They were gracious, and I think that they were surprised and touched to get my phone call. They were surprised that somebody reached out to them and asked them how we could help them. I can't tell you if my call had any impact on them. I don't know that I really helped them in any way, but I will tell you this, their words and their situation helped me. It helped solidify my beliefs about what we can do, what the PGA can do to better assist our members. And I believe this, and you're going to hear this word from me many times today, it starts with outreach. Because when we engage our members, we gain valuable feedback. And then we can learn how to best provide opportunities for them to be better at their jobs and happier in their lives. And you know what? By doing so, by reaching out to them, we create buy-in. We motivate, and maybe even most importantly, we inspire. So I want to ask you to think about this. Just think about how powerful we can be if we can galvanize the strength and pull in our 28,000 PGA professionals into that circle. We can really move the needle. And that's what I intend to do as your next PGA secretary. I don't have to tell you that our founding fathers, they created a simple foundation back in 1916 when they chartered our association. Members in the game, they were at the forefront. And 100 years later, our mission's still pure. And today I'm going to share with you my mission, my vision about how I think we can stimulate growth and create opportunity for our members, our sections, and the game for the next 100 years. My passion for leading comes from 20 years. 20 years now of leadership on the local level, the section level, and it's been reinforced through my time on national committees and the National Board of Control. And I know that you would agree with me when I say that our members are our greatest assets. They form the foundation for our strong chapters and sections, and that's the bedrock. That's the bedrock of the success of the PGA of America. Our members must be engaged, they must be mentored, and most importantly, they must be inspired if we're going to unlock their full potential. Because when our members are at their best, we are at our best. When our members are at their best, we are at our best. So along those lines, we must continuously provide an arsenal, education and training, personal growth. This is a lifelong venture. And education shouldn't be about the MSRs. It should be about providing opportunities and inspiring growth. It's not about the 54 MSR credits. It's about upward mobility and making ourselves the best that we can be. My time on the National Board of Control, it gave me great understanding of the inner workings of our association and also the challenges that many of our PGA professionals encounter on a daily basis. Communicating with you over the last couple of years has reinforced and confirmed to me the value of online education, particularly in the remote parts of your sections out there. Back when I was on the Board of Control, we didn't have online education, and I championed this. I'm not saying that I created it, but it was something that we could see very clearly was missing in terms of our members, as I said, particularly in those remote parts of our sections, getting the education and fulfilling their obligations to make themselves better. These programs online, they must be meaningful. They must be career-specific. They must be updated regularly. And I do believe they have to have a self-assessment component in them. We retooled the Certified Professional Program about 2.5 years ago. And since then, we have seen an increase in participation. We actually have 1,000 PGA professionals now that are certified and over 2,000 certifications that have been completed out there. Currently, we have 600 PGA professionals working towards certification. I know we can do better than this. I will increase marketing here, provide testimonials from our best and brightest to really share the impact on how these programs have made them better in their jobs, enhance compensation. It's very important that we do this. And along with the Master Professional Program, these are not be-all, end-all programs. We understand that. But they're wonderful tools to help our members grow and elevate their skills and their status, their value to their employers. I want to ask a quick question. How many of you came through the traditional business school program to get your Class A membership? Okay, maybe a little more than half in here. I would say that we learn a little differently. You know, our average age of the PGA membership is close to 50 now. We came through the program in a different way. We learn in a different way. And I believe if we're really, truly trying to grow the CPP programs or the Master Professional programs, we need to take a look at that process. And I think that we need to take a look at some alternative programs for maybe some of the old-timers like me and some of you in this room that would endear the program to us. That might have some book work. It might be online. But it would be involving a situation where we actually travel for a week to spend with our fellow PGA professionals and network and learn and grow together. That face-to-face time is very, very important. And I think we need to look into this. And I think if we ask the question, we're going to get an answer that's suited around what I just told you. PGA.org, it rolled out this January. Had a little bit of a rough start, but there's a tremendous amount of tools on there, particularly the Marketing Resource Center, the Revenue Scorecard, the newly created PGA Verify. What a great tool for instruction and technology for our PGA members. And upcoming, we've got this new business simulation tool that Daz Marlett and his team are rolling out this fall. A tremendous opportunity, again, for education and growth to make our PGA members better. But you know what? We've got these great tools. But we've got to make sure that we train and teach and market to our members so they know where to find them, they know how to use them, and then we need to inspire them to take advantage of them. You may have heard we've had pretty darn good success in North Florida with our chapter education, our mentoring programs, our Jumpstart Your Career Days. We're very fortunate. But what we do in North Florida is we survey. We survey our members and our apprentices, and we ask them what they want. Career-specific, affordable, dynamic. Those are the things that they were looking for, and we tailor those opportunities to them. And we've had great success. And North Florida is not the only section out there doing a good job. There are great education programs around the country, and many of them right here in the Northeast. But what I want to do is create a mechanism to where we can capture these great stories, these best practices, and share them with other chapters and other sections so that they can achieve that same success. So it's very important. We want to couple online opportunities with traditional face-to-face opportunities on the local level. And that's where we get it done, ladies and gentlemen, providing comprehensive, award-winning education and training. And that's going to elevate the expertise and the standing of our PGA members. This is vital to our success. It's vital to their success, and I intend to lead this campaign. So let's talk a little bit about employment. I've heard this now throughout these super regionals, and I'm very, very pleased to hear it from Paul and Derek and Susie that employment is priority number one, and it has to be. As a member of the National Employment Committee, I'm so excited to see Roger Martinez on board with us, and I've been fortunate to have dialogue with some of the sharpest minds in the country about employment as we look for ways to increase job mobility, wage growth, and opportunities for PGA penetration out there at our facilities. But you know, when we look at our compensation studies over the last 9 years, wage growth is non-existent. And when you factor in inflation and cost of living indexes, the majority of our PGA professionals are making less today than they were a decade ago. That's the cold, hard truth. And certainly the Great Recession, the economic uncertainty that's out there, the global unrest, these are all factors at play. But there are 5 areas that I want to present to you today that I can really say to you that we can help employment immediately. And the first one gets back to outreach. We need to reach out to our executive directors that have their finger on the pulse of their section, and we need to pair them up with our employment consultants, our leaders in the sections, and our national staff to identify how we can do a better job on employment. It's as simple as that. Let's sit down and let's get this done. Let's roll up our sleeves and get to work. We also need to identify the sections out there that are having the most success. We have some sections that are having great success in the employment arena, and we need to understand what they're doing to have that success and use those best practices as we start mapping out our strategies. Those of you may know, I'm a member also of the Club Managers Association and the NGCOA. And I believe strongly that we need to create a task force of joint PGA, CMA members, joint PGA, NGCOA members to sit down with our allied associations and talk about employment. We're in this together. And we can identify where the skill sets are of our PGA members that are strong and maybe some areas that we need to work on. But all the while, we need to be carrying the banner of the PGA professionals that are best equipped to drive top-line growth at these facilities. I want to establish a strategic plan for the addition of 15 employment consultants over the next 5 years. And lastly, I want to develop a turnkey program for our sections that includes the revitalization of our local employment committees. We only have 15 sections out there today, as I speak to you. Only 15 sections actually have employment committees. You know, it's clear in my travels that each section is very unique. They have their distinct historical, geographical, environmental, and even socioeconomic factors at play that give them their own identity, their own DNA, if you will. But there's no doubt in my mind that the executive directors, the section leaders, are the ones that are best equipped to serve their members and grow the game. They know how to do this in their respective regions. And our national leaders have helped. This has been very positive by driving down resources, goods, and services to our sections. My talks with Pete and Daryl, our officers and our board members since then, have confirmed that this is a priority for us. And it's very exciting. Susie talked earlier about from the ground up. That's where we need to be. Not top down, from the ground up, because we need to let sections be more independent and better meet their local objectives on serving their members and growing the game. And I want to share some plans with you that I have to make our sections better. First things first, increase ADP funding. We know that in 2019, we are scheduled to max out at $180,000. We need to start our planning now for our section's sake to identify where we're going to be in 2020, 2021. It's that important. But we also need to look at some grant opportunities for our sections to help fund some of their programs and also continue to work with Jeff Price on future business relationships and partnerships. Again, like National Rent-A-Car, like Omega, that fund those dollars down directly to the sections. It's really important that we establish what I call an ED hotline. As I said, nobody has their finger on the pulse more than our executive directors, and we need to give them a better way, a better mechanism to stimulate dialogue and share ideas. Training programs. Our section training and our staff is very, very important. We need to enhance the skills of our section staff in technology, operations, so that we can be more efficient and better serve our members. And this is where National can help us as well. Leadership academies. We have many young PGA professionals out there that think that they might want to be involved with governance. We need to capture them. We need to pull them in and give them the proper tools and the training. Likewise, for our chapter leaders, our board members, and also our section leaders, so that when they hit the ground, when they take office, that they are ready to hit the ground running. Again, I talked about employment consultants. It's very important that we have the link between our employment consultants and our employment committees. They need to work hand in hand to help drive all the mechanisms of employment that are so important to us. Upward mobility, PGA penetration, job growth, wage growth. And lastly, this is pretty important, government relations. There are so many potential pitfalls coming down the pike for our sections with regulations, taxation, environmental, wage and hour. We've got the Department of Labor ruling that's coming out potentially this summer. Our section leaders need to be equipped with a toolbox, a toolkit of sorts that allows them to interact with the local legislative bodies, the regulators, and puts them in good standing with them. Now, each of these actions will help strengthen the standing of our sections and, again, allow them to provide better services, better programming, better take care of their members, and grow the game. Let's talk about the game. despite all we hear about declining rounds and people leaving the game and the industry struggling, I believe that our best days are ahead of us. I know that golf is a beautiful game, and it's just as beautiful and it's just as strong as it was nearly 500 years ago. And I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but with all the negativity out there, I think it's time that we pause, we take a step back, and we think about all that is right with the game. USGA President Diana Murphy, she lives just down the road from me in Sea Island. She shared recently, and I quote, that in recent years there seems to be more gloom hanging around golf than the sport deserves. And although golf will always face challenges, it's time for us together, all of us, to be positive about golf and act accordingly. I couldn't agree more. Isn't that what the game teaches us? That just because we had a rough patch and we might have made a bogey or two, that doesn't mean we can't come back and birdie the next hole. And ladies and gentlemen, I believe we are about to start making a bunch of birdies. So just for a moment, I'd like to ask you about how golf has impacted you. Rob, how has golf impacted your family? Donnie, I know golf has had a tremendous impact on your career. Tracy, you've seen golf impact lives. And I'll share with you that golf has been everything to me. Golf allowed me to travel the country. It allowed me to meet my wife, Tracy. I remember exactly where I was standing the day that I met her in Orlando at the Marriott World Center. She was standing across the room in that red dress. And here we are, 25 years later. She's my partner in life. She's my partner at the club, and she gave me 4 beautiful kids. Golf means everything to me. It's given me my career, my family, my lifelong friendships. Golf introduced me to the greatest sports association that there is, one that I love dearly and one that I intend to lead with your support. I don't know about you, but I love the fact that golf is challenging. I love the fact that in order to get good at golf, you got to work hard at it. I'm proud of the fact that golf provides life skills and core values for our kids. Golf encourages a healthy lifestyle, providing fitness opportunities for a society that really has become increasingly sedentary. 1/3 of our kids are obese today. Golf is safe. It's fun. It's social. It's great for the whole family. There's no other sport like it. So when thinking about this, in recent months, I've been speaking to my fellow PGA leaders, staff at Palm Beach Gardens, about what I feel would be a refreshing new direction for the PGA of America. I think it's time to celebrate the game. And we need to message all that is good about it, and that every step of the way, we introduce the PGA professional as the individual that's best equipped to share it and grow it. And here are 3 ways that I think we can celebrate, protect, and advance the game of golf. I want to pull together our development and marketing committees, our team at Palm Beach Gardens, our communication staff, and develop an outreach initiative. It's going to be called Love Golf. Love Golf. Simple. I had a great talk about a month ago now with Randy Stutzman. He is our social media strategist at headquarters. Tremendously smart. We talked about establishing a content plan, tailoring our message to specific audiences, different target audiences out there through the 30 or 40 channels, the social media channels that we penetrate, like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, LinkedIn, a couple new ones that I learned about, Vine, Periscope, you may have heard of them. How can we maximize opportunities with the men's PGA Championship, the women's PGA Championship, the Olympics, and the Ryder Cup through media engagement? How can we drive consumers to PGA.com? Maybe most importantly, how can we drive them to the doorsteps of our PGA professionals and the facilities that they work at? You know what's great about this? It's very inexpensive. It's powerful. It's far-reaching. And it also gives us the opportunity to generate revenue, which can further fund our player development programs. There's no better way to reach out to our juniors, our families, and our millennials. Those are the people, the players, that represent the future of our game. We are not the only ones out there in the world of golf. We know there's strength in numbers, so we need to do a better job of solidifying our partnerships with our allied associations. And together, we can create more comprehensive national marketing initiatives that tell the whole story of golf. We are all in this together, there's no doubt about it, but I'm convinced it's the PGA of America. We are going to be the ones to lead this charge. And Susie chronicled earlier the great success we've been having with our player development programs. PGA Junior League, 30,000 kids last year. We're trending to 50. We're going to get there. Get Golf Ready, 107,000 participants last year. The majority of them are female. Drive, chip, and putt. What a beautiful time at Augusta National that we saw on television there. I watched it for 4 hours with my kids on Sunday morning. I will convene with our section leaders and our player development experts to identify next step opportunities. We've always got to be on the cutting edge here. Opportunities like PGA Family League, good idea, as well as more developmental programs. I've seen this firsthand. The youngsters, the little biddies that come to Drive, Chip, and Putt in PGA Junior League, they hardly know what end of the club to hold, right? So they come out here and they see these other kids that are really champion golfers, and they get intimidated. We can't let that happen. We've got to work on developmental programs that keep all the kids engaged, keep them happy, and keep them playing the game. We must stay relevant. We must stay innovative. We must stay fresh. And we've got to continue to position the PGA as the brand that's always first in golf. Lastly, we've got to talk about cross-promotion. The LPGA USGA girls golf program is tremendous. I've got 3 girls at my club that participate in it. As a matter of fact, my apprentice Jody actually works and runs some of the events for them. The First Tee, tremendous opportunity there. We're searching through the local levels and having great success locally. I think there's greater opportunities out there for us nationally. And lastly, golf in schools. It's so important that we get clubs in the hands of these kids in schools. So the beautiful thing about this is every one of us can start this initiative today. We don't have to wait for a national marketing campaign. And I challenge each and every one of you, when you leave this meeting on Friday and you head home, lead the charge in positive messaging about the game to your customers and maybe most importantly to your fellow PGA professionals. Let's not let the industry experts, the pundits, let's not let them get us down. Let's not let them drive us to what might be a self-fulfilling prophecy. We must all play our part, and PGA professionals must sing golf's praises. And as long as we stand together and we work together in a positive way, we can overcome any obstacle. I'm convinced of that. Pete Bovaka really did do us proud about a month ago when he sat down with Charlie Reimer on Morning Drive and he refuted some of the key points of that National Golf Foundation piece. He was positive, he was on point, and that's the message we need to be singing. And I intend to be there by his side, and I hope that you'll get behind me on this as well. So why support me? Why support Russ Libby for PGA Secretary? Is it because of my love for the game and my passion for the PGA? Is it because of my 34 years in the business? I started at Salmon Falls Country Club, mowing, hand mowing, mind you, the rough in Bar Mills, Maine. That was my start at 15 years old. I've been in the industry ever since for 34 years. It's the only industry I've ever worked in. It's because of my 2 decades of continuous service, serving in all the chairs on the chapter level, the section level, national committees, and the board of control, getting things done time and time again for our PGA members. Maybe it's for the way that I do lead, as a problem solver, a forward thinker, a leader that reaches out to others and solicits input and feedback and builds consensus, someone who has a proven track record for success. Someone who's not afraid to make tough decisions, but always making decisions with the best interests of the PGA in the game at hand. I've been doing this for 2 decades now. Maybe it's maybe it's for the fact that I have experience at nearly every facility type, in nearly every capacity. I played for a while. I was a full-time instructor, a head golf professional, director of golf, general manager. And now, of course, Tracy and I own a small club in Jacksonville, Florida. Maybe it's because of all these things, the whole package. But one thing is for certain. I truly do believe that our best days are ahead of us. And I do feel it is go time. My passion, my extensive background in business and in governance have prepared me well for the journey ahead. I want to close by just telling a brief story. You may have heard about the past PGA leaders who had an empty chair in the boardroom. I think some of them might be in this room. And that empty chair signified the grassroots PGA professional. So when charting their course, they would always ask whether their decisions would positively impact the member in that chair. And I love this story. It really is telling and appropriate. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you, I am that member. I've been in your shoes. I know what you and your fellow PGA members across the country face on a daily basis. I've been there. I am there. And because of this, as your next PGA secretary, I will always represent you and the PGA of America well. I will fight for our members, and I will get things done just as I have for 20 years. I'm ready to serve you. I'm ready to lead our association into the next great PGA century. And I want to thank you for your time. I would appreciate your support and your vote in New York City. Thank you very much.